Our special guest is Scott Burns. He's a Marine Corps veteran that is doing some crazy things to raise awareness and support for disabled veterans. You don't want to miss this one. And it's a possibility Santa Claus might show up.
Purple Heart Homes presents Putting the Pieces Back Together, a forum for veterans and the community to connect. Here are your hosts, veterans John Galena and Brad Borders.
Well, good day.
What a great week. This is a week of much celebration, much anticipation, and I'm going to tell you, we have got some special guests with us in the studio today.
For those that can't see, if you're watching on Facebook, Santa Claus is in the studio with us, and he's trying to, and the cord's not long enough for him to put his headphones on. So
that is fantastic. We've got all kinds of stuff going on here. Santa's got the entire
Chaos
studio
ensues.
disembobulated here.
Disembobulated.
These are Santa words.
That's right. Let's go to Urban Dictionary. Somebody look up disembobulated.
Embobulated.
It's discombobulated.
Combobulated.
Yeah, welcome to
this is embobulated today.
welcome to Putting the Pieces Back Together, presented by Purple Heart Homes. Let's get back on track here. Purple Heart.
There's nothing better than making you laugh first thing in the morning by throwing out some crazy word for you that just doesn't make any sense whatsoever.
It's like the Treaty of Versailles all over again. Go back to the archives for that one. So, Putting the Pieces Back Together, presented by Purple Heart Homes. Purple Heart Homes is a 501c3 nonprofit based out of here in Statesville, North Carolina. But we do work for veterans all over the United States of America, solving housing issues for them through safety and accessibility renovations and all kinds of good things, and helping folks with home ownership and just making sure disabled veterans have the life that they deserve to live. And so we're glad everybody's joining us. It is the week of Christmas, and we have a special guest in the studio today, and his name is Santa Claus. Hello, Santa.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas to you. Now I've got to find out. I know you've got this list that you keep, and is John? What side of the list is John on?
I can answer that. I'm on the good side.
You are.
I'm on the good
Then
side.
that is that
It
self-revelation?
is.
Oh, okay.
It's I'm thinking positive.
All right, so let's go to the real arbiter of that. Santa, the world wants to know, is John on the naughty list, or has he been good? Is he on the good list?
John's been on the good list for quite some time now.
No, okay, all right.
Look at there.
Hey, well,
Look at
we got word from Santa himself, and so that is awesome. Thank you for being here today, Santa. And I know you've got a really busy week ahead of you. You've been off. Tell us about your travels yesterday. You're in Statesville. I don't know how you got here from the North Pole so fast, but you were traveling around a bit yesterday, and you came by Purple Heart Homes and delivered some goodies, and did it during the middle of the day, and we didn't even leave milk and cookies out for you.
Heard the bells coming.
Yeah, we did. We heard him jingling. So where'd you go yesterday, Santa Claus?
Well, yesterday I was able to stop by and see a few people. We went to Shepherd Elementary School.
Oh, yeah.
Here in Troutman, Statesville area. And we also went to see you guys. And then we went to help out the Statesville Police Department with passing out toys to Fifth Street Ministries and some other good people.
That is amazing.
So you went to all the good places.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
that is
That's
amazing,
fantastic.
man. Thank you for doing that, and we appreciate your love and spirit. And Santa has some big news.
He does have some big
recently.
news.
Santa made an honest woman out of Mrs. Santa.
Oh,
in
yeah.
a special wedding ceremony down in Moores, Vegas.
Now wait a minute. What I heard was instead of an elf marrying him, it was something of some other type of character. What kind
Well,
of?
he's got an elf. He's got a lead elf, and his lead elf is named Jeff. And I don't
Yeah.
know if y'all knew that, but if you go back in the history books and all the stories about Santa Claus, you'll find a little-known chapter about his lead elf named Jeff.
Yeah.
So
But who married Santa? It wasn't his elf Jeff.
Well, no, I officiated the wedding. So, but I'll tell you this, and it was really cool. It was a beautiful wedding, it really was, and a lot of Santa's family showed up from disparate parts of the world, and there were elves there, and when Santa and Mrs. Santa tied the knot, I pronounced them, ladies and gentlemen, I present to you, Mr. and Mrs. Santa Claus. So
Yeah,
it was fantastic.
That's wonderful. Now, one thing that I've got to be honest here. I kind of questioned whether this was the real Santa
It's the real Santa.
until I called, and when I called, the phone number is the phone number of the North Pole.
The North Pole.
And he called me back, and it
Yeah.
said the North Pole.
North Pole. That's where he lives. That's where he's
I
from.
mean, I was just in there. Yeah, I mean, if you grab a hold of his beard and pull on him,
It
they're
doesn't come
real
out.
whiskers.
It doesn't come out. Yeah.
He doesn't ho 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 when you pull on the whiskers, though.
It goes ow ow ow. Yeah. Or hey hey hey.
We've got another special guest with us today here through Zoom. He's down in Tupelo, Mississippi,
Home of Elvis Presley, no doubt.
Yep, home of Elvis Presley. And while Scott doesn't sing, he is a fantastic DJ, an amazing human being, and I'll say an all-around good Marine.
Ooh.
And so we have figured out that it's okay to have two Marines with you as long as one's in Zoom and only one's in person.
We have not busted the quota. The quota remains intact. One Marine only, and one allowed in the studio. So.
But before we get to Scott, I do have a quick special shout out to my grandmother, Grandma Mello, who turned 81 years old yesterday, and
Outstanding.
so happy birthday to her, and always thankful for her support. She's been a great listener and supporter, and really helped make me who I am.
And congratulations, John, because you now are officially off the naughty list.
Oh, now I'm officially off the naughty list.
100% off.
Well,
now.
hopefully Santa didn't get that piece of mail. But, yeah.
That's amazing. Well, happy birthday,
Yeah.
young lady. That is fantastic.
So Scott, you've got a lot going on. You've had some life changes here recently, and looking forward to hearing some about that. You're definitely an overcomer. I just love your attitude and your outlook on life, and beautiful family. But let's kind of start for our listeners that don't know you, and tell us a little bit about who you are and what led you to join the military.
Honestly, I'm Scott Burns. I was born and raised in Jackson, Mississippi, and I had always wanted to be in the military. My father was in the National Guard, and heard him tell stories about being able to help people. There was a big flood in Mississippi, and I can't actually remember the name of that flood, but he was able to help people during that time, and I was like, well, I want to be in the military. And I'm honest, I was in high school, and I was sitting in my senior class, and a guy was looking at the book they give you when you're in the Marines. And
Wait. There's a book.
there's a book of the yes.
We can read.
Is it a coloring book?
Yeah, pictures, a lot of pictures.
It did have pictures, actually. But
They weren't colored pictures. They ate the crayons. So.
black and white is all I had. But he made the comment when I was looking at that book, why are you looking at that? You'll never be a Marine. And so I was determined that day I was going to go in the Marines, and it just worked out really well for me.
Oh, that's fantastic.
What was your MOS in the Marine Corps?
Motor T.
All right. We've been a lot of Motor T folks in the Marine Corps. Oh, that's cool.
And how long were you? How long did you serve, Scott?
I was in for 4 years, had injured my ankle while I was in, and it was during one of those times that they were really trying to downsize the military, so if you had a hangnail, they made you get out. But I ended up, after getting out, having over 20 surgeries on an ankle that I didn't really think that was messed up that bad, but ended up being a lot more messed up than I thought.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that led to a pretty tough decision that you had to make, didn't it?
I did after all those procedures and years of taking pain medicine. 13 years ago, So it was a little over 20 years after I got out, but 13 years ago, I ended up having that leg amputated. And that amputation was easy. Like, not when I say easy, it was an easy decision. I had a leg that didn't really work right. It was keeping me from doing things I wanted to do. So just chose to get off the pain medicine and have that amputation done.
Mm-hmm.
So Scott, it was kind of during that time period you started 7 Days for the Troops. You really got the notion of how people helped you, and you wanted to pay that forward and start helping others. Tell us a little bit about 7 Days for the Troops.
Well, 7 Days for the Troops actually started as an event. Like I was sitting at home one day, and I was really beating myself up about, not really being able to do much, not being able to help, not being able to serve in the Marines anymore. And this was years after I gotten out, but I guess it was at that early midlife crisis point in my life, 16 years ago. And I saw a story where some kids were doing a deal to buy calling cards to send overseas. And I thought, you know what, I could do something to help them raise money. I said, I'll a couple $1,000 will be able to buy some calling cards. And we were actually, so I decided I built a tower in the parking lot of a mall in Tupelo, and I camped out on top of it for 7 days. And the money we raised was, to buy those calling cards. And it ended up, what is now, was going to be a one-time event, has now gone on for 16 years. We've done, I want to say 25 7 Day for the Troops event across the country, where we built a tower, we camped out on top of it. And when I say we, I mean me. My family helps me on the ground, but they're not real keen on the camping out for 7 days.
Now you do, one of your kids each year camps out for one night with you.
Actually, both of my kids have. It started off with my daughter. She spent the night in the mall with me. We moved it to the inside of the mall in Tupelo the second year, and she has actually spent the night in the tent for every event that I've done, maybe but 3. And even at 24 years old, she was 23 and a half when this year she showed up and she camped out. And
That's
now
great.
I have an 8-year-old that has done the same thing for the last 5 years. And so it's kind of like a family thing now, that at least one of them will stay, or they'll stay. They pick different nights because the 24-year-old and the 8-year-old don't, always.
They don't get along
like
so
things
well.
the same.
They don't G-haul. My dad used to say that doesn't G-haul. So
Yeah,
It's really great, Scott, that you're teaching them young and getting them to understand the value of taking care of troops and taking care of our veterans, and so we really appreciate that. And I there's so many things to unpack here, but first of all, I'd like to just tell you on behalf of Purple Heart Homes, thank you for all the support that 7 Days for the Troops has provided to us. Somewhere around $100,000 that you've raised to support veterans through Purple Heart Homes all around the country. You've done these projects from Texas to North. And somebody in town was like, hey, how about that Scott Burns? Where's he at? That fellow that sleeps out in the tower. Yeah. When are we going to see him again? And it's inspiring to the community what they see you doing, and folks don't really think about how much of a sacrifice it is that you would take. Really what's from behind the scenes is about 3 weeks of preparation and work just to be able to camp out for 7 days straight. And so I just personally want to tell you thank you, and all the veterans that have been supported from your contributions send their thanks as well.
It's quite the spectacle, too. The last time we set up in downtown States Vegas here in North Carolina, we had a fire truck lifted you up into the tower. And the other thing, we'll talk about this after the break. We got a break coming up here real shortly, but I want to talk about the Porta-John because that's an interesting thing to talk about because you think about 7 days and he doesn't come down. So we got to talk logistics a little bit and how you maintain life up on the tower for 7 days. So we'll be right back. Thanks for listening to Putting the Pieces Back Together, presented by Purple Heart Homes. We'll be back here in just a few minutes.
$1,400 number.
Hey, good morning. We're still live on Facebook. So, hey, thanks for being here today, everybody. So, we wanted to bring Santa back in for our Facebook watchers and listeners. So, Santa, what you got going on? I know Saturday night's a big night for you, but what's happening? What's happening here the next couple of days for you?
Oh boy. I know we'll be at Walmart this afternoon between
Nice.
12 and 5, ringing the bells up for the Salvation Army.
Yeah. Is Mrs. Claus going to be joining you for that?
No, she will not.
She won't. She's got busy. She's managing the toy shop and making sure everything's packed up and ready to go. So.
Absolutely.
Okay, awesome. So you'll be at Walmart today. So what time will you be at Walmart today?
Between 12 and 5.
Between 12 and 5. Okay, so if you want to meet Santa Claus today and you're watching on Facebook, you can go meet Santa Claus today between 12 and 5 at Wally World and right outside at the big Crossroads Shopping Center. So go out and take a look at that. So that's pretty cool. Okay, what else you got? So that's today. Anything else? Anything big on the horizon that people need to know about?
Well, weather contingent, we might be out there again on Thursday and Friday.
Okay. All right. So maybe back at Walmart Thursday and Friday.
Possibly weather contingent.
Weather contingent. What do you mean, Santa? I mean, is snow going to stop you?
No, the Salvation Army has a few rules about weather conditions.
Well, just your big suit is like, I mean, that's built for the Arctic. I mean, I don't know. We're going to have to call the
It's
Salvation
for
Army.
all the people visiting. It's not for Santa.
Oh, is that
yeah,
what it is?
absolutely.
But people are still going to go to Walmart.
Because people know that they're going to flock to come see Santa.
Absolutely.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah. They're going to fly.
Well, what I really want to know is if you're on the naughty list,
How do you get off?
how do you get off the naughty list? Because I sometimes through the year find myself on the naughty list.
Yeah, that's for sure. Yeah.
You're saying Brad ends up on the naughty list?
Occasionally.
Occasionally?
I might have been on there this morning.
Oh.
I might not have been able to find my sweatshirt this morning, and I might have cast blame at another person that lives in my home about losing my sweatshirt. Yeah, it sounded like that.
10 seconds.
All right, we're going to go back live. Hey, we got Devil Dog.
All right, we are back with you here on Putting the Pieces Back Together, presented by Purple Heart Homes. And up next, we have Devil Dog Devin to talk with us about the project of the week. And let me just say, you don't want to miss the next segment here with Scott Burns, our favorite Marine.
Yeah, from 7
No,
Days for
no
the Truth.
offense
Yeah.
there, Devil Dog.
That's
Whoa,
right.
whoa. Hey, did you just say he was your favorite
Hey,
Marine?
you're the second favorite.
Well, I'm setting up the rivalry between the two Marines.
See, they're trying to conquer and divide right here. Divide and conquer. I don't know. I ain't very smart.
And the Devil Dog today is very festive in his attire. He looks like one of Santa's elves, and we have Santa in the studio. So welcome, Devlin McGregor. So
Why, hell, I can't do the voice. I was going to do the voice. I don't know.
do your Scottish voice.
Hi, Brad.
That's okay.
I was not allowed to watch Braveheart when I was a kid because I would talk like this for 3 weeks.
There you go.
Your poor parents.
I know.
I'm so
Gosh.
sorry.
Oh, bless my mother. Well, how y'all doing?
I'm doing great.
Doing
man.
great.
Merry Christmas to you.
Merry Christmas.
Yes.
Well, since it's the giving season, let's talk about giving to some vets.
All
Oh,
right.
that sounds
do
good.
that.
Yeah. So there's some veterans out there on the East Coast of North Carolina. Now, this is an acronym that's a rivalry for any military branch, the CLTRA. That's the Coastal Long-Term Recovery Alliance, headed by Jim Buckingham out there. He hooked us up with, there was 3 veterans living in a home that was damaged by a hurricane. Long-term kind of deal. There wasn't immediate, the house didn't get flooded or anything like that, but the windows and the siding, they got the water behind it, and they've been hit by several things, and now these 3 veterans are living in a home with the windows literally rotting in place. I mean, it's terrible looking. The chimney's about to fall off. I don't know how Santa Claus is going to get in there. He's got a special way, I'm sure.
Touches his nose.
that's-
and then he's just there.
Hey, I don't want him to divulge trade secrets.
okay.
It's
Does Santa Claus deliver sinks and flooring and roofing material?
I don't know if Santa Claus does, but Purple Heart Homes does.
There you go.
And if you want to help out a veteran, you can go to phhusa.org, and you can help some veterans on the East Coast. Like I said,
So that's an
NC.
ongoing project that's
Ongoing
happening right
project
now.
Right now.
And so it needs funding, not right now.
It needs funding, and so it's going to cost upward of $40,000, and that's just the things we've identified. As you know, anytime you start a really big project and ripping things out, you always find more stuff. So we wanna fix it and not just put a Band-Aid on it. So if
Are we taking volunteers to dress up in elf costumes and help?
well, they don't have to wear elf costumes, but absolutely we're taking volunteers. PHH is always taking volunteers. You can go to our website if you feel inclined to help out. It doesn't matter where you are, anywhere across the USA. You find our website, and we'll find a project for you. Please reach out to us. You want to help vets? We want to help vets. Let's get together.
All right. Well, speaking of that, because thank you, Devlin McGregor, with your project of the week. Thanks for sharing that with us. That's another ongoing project, and we have those happening every week. And speaking of that, Scott and I were having a conversation yesterday, and Scott has 7 Days for the Troops has agreed to do something kind of cool for our project of the week. What is that, Scott?
Well, initially when you and I talked yesterday, I'd said what I'd like to do when I came on was to issue a challenge for $1,000. I'll match it with 7 Days for the Troops funds up to $1,000.
All right.
But
That's
hearing
awesome.
that project on the coast is helping more than one veteran, I'm going to go ahead and do a challenge match up to $2,500 from 7 Days for the
That's
Troops.
amazing. All right. That's
Wow,
awesome.
that is fantastic, Scott. I tell you, you're just always up in the game and making sure that people are taken care of. And I mentioned a little while ago, just alluding to some change that you had and things that were happening in your life. Would you share with our listeners a little bit of what you've learned and what you went through these last several months since we spoke with you last?
Well, to make it quick, like I said earlier, when I lost my first ankle, I kind of was prepared for that. I knew it was coming. I got ready for that, as far as just mentally and emotionally, I guess. Well, back in October, I had to, just due to overusing the right ankle and just abusing it for the last 10 years with the prosthetic, I have not let it slow me down. I had to have an ankle replacement done, and a month later, November the 6th, 5th or 6th, I went in because I had I was at the point where I was getting ready to start walking again. So mentally, I was like, yes, I'm going to get to drive. I'm going to do this. And I ended up with a little space that I knew was infected, but the pain was crazy. And so ended up going to the emergency room and did not leave the hospital after going to the emergency room. The infection got really bad and had to make the choice of having the second leg amputated. And mentally, I was not prepared for that. And I say all that to say, we need to pay attention to the people that are around us, because people that know me, I'm a very positive person. But if it would not have been for a support staff of my wife being there the night I had my leg amputated and just encouraging me, that was a rough night. I don't think I was mentally like at the point where I'm just, hey, I'm out of here. But I begged them to take me home from the hospital. I didn't want to, I'd already had amputated. Just get me out of here. Let me go home and deal with. And mentally, my wife stepped up and realized that I was not the person that she knew me to be. And so she made sure that the people that needed to contact me contacted me just to make sure I was okay. And I was offended by that at first. Like, how dare you think that mentally I can't handle this? But she was able to see more than I was able to see myself. And so the last couple of weeks of just trying to deal with the whole amputation and not being able to drive and just the things that I know I'm going to be limited in. But I decided after that night that no matter what happened, I was going to stay positive, to the point of, I have a slogan now, footless but not defeated. And that's the motto that I plan on living by, because I believe anytime God allows us to wake up from whatever we're waking up from, then God has a purpose for us.
I think we talked a little bit about at the beginning of the show that his new theme song was going to be Footloose.
There you go.
Right.
I like it.
Well, but he can tighten up the screws, and
That's
it's
right.
no longer
There's all
footloose.
kinds of, man, the metaphors are endless. The metaphors are endless.
You are listening to Putting the Pieces Back Together, presented by Purple Heart Homes. If you missed any of this awesome show and you want to hear the entirety, you can go to iHeart Podcasts or Spotify or YouTube, wherever you get your podcast, and you can listen to the show, re-listen to the show to punish yourself.
Yeah,
even
that's
more,
right. Yeah,
or share it with your friends.
Yeah.
You're listening to Scott Burns.
Yeah, that's awesome. So let's get back to 7 Days for the Troops. And once again, everybody, Scott has made an announcement that for donations that come in this week, 7 Days for the Troops, his nonprofit will match that up to $2,500. So if you give $1, it turns into $2 magically, and isn't that the magic of Christmas right there? And so you can help a veteran and pay that forward. So. But
you could say it's a 2 for 3. Really, your dollar gets matched, but as Devil Dog said, the project that we're supporting these funds with is actually going to take care of 3 veterans.
That's right. That's exactly right.
3 veterans. I mean, and it's one thing to help one veteran. All these projects we do always help a veteran, but you have 3 veterans in there living.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's really
blessed. That's impact.
Devil Dog, tell us a little bit about your work and how you met Scott, because there's a group in the community where Scott lives that actually raised some money for Scott to help put a ramp on his home here recently. So share a little bit with us about that.
Yes, yeah. So I'm a project manager over here at Purple Heart Homes, and they told me that, hey, we have a special project out there in Tupelo, Mississippi, and I apologize, I cannot remember the name of that group right off the top of my head, but
Scott, it's the Air Group.
They call themselves SHAFE, and it's the Southern Heritage Air Foundation.
Yeah. Southern Heritage Air Foundation, yes. Yeah, and I spoke with the very, very lovely woman over there, and she was telling me that you were getting ready to go in to have your ankle fused, and you would help so many other veterans, but they had found out through a friend or something, and they knew that you were not going to be able to just walk right into your house right after this surgery, and they couldn't believe that someone with as big a heart as you, that had helped so many veterans, so many veteran organizations, was going to have to struggle to get into their own home. And so they got together with us, and we just made the work happen. They donated the funds, and we just facilitated that.
So it was all local funds.
From
his Scott's community helping him, right?
Absolutely, it was Scott's community helping him.
I just want to let y'all know I was not aware that they had done that. I knew that they had reached out to you. That I don't know. tear up here.
But that's
Like,
the
seriously,
case in
because-
so many ways, Scott, that, veterans themselves don't always just reach out and say, "Hey, I need help. Hey, come help me. I've got a need." But it's the community coming together because they see that person, they see the need, and they want to make a difference. And,
Yeah,
and
man.
they're
I
getting
mean, we
involved.
get so many applications that come in, and they're not from the veteran. They're from somebody who loves the veteran or somebody that's concerned about them, because a lot of times, veterans won't ask, right? So,
Well, and you say that, and I can't even imagine the number of veterans that you guys have in your pipeline
over 1,000.
that are needing help. And this time of the year, we kind of get. I mean, there's a lot of people in the giving spirit. I mean, I'd love to write you guys a check for $50,000, and right now I personally can't do that. But as an individual, we can come up with ideas like staying on top of a tower, and where I never personally could have written a check to Purport Homes for $100,000 over the last 16 years, because of the help of many and the idea of just staying on top of the tower. We're able to help, and that's what I want to encourage people is this time of the year. Groups like Purport Homes, 7 Days for the Troops, and all these other nonprofits that are out there, they are still helping. They're still working to help veterans, and every little bit that we can do, it helps.
Yeah.
So,
And Santa says that's how you get off the naughty list.
That's exactly right. That's how you get off the naughty list. So,
Self-sacrifice.
And know that your kids are watching you. You mentioned that earlier, but I don't know if y'all saw where I posted on Facebook, or my wife posted on Facebook the other day. I got a text from my 8-year-old just randomly in the middle of the night last weekend, and it was breaking down because he had overheard me saying one of the projects we were working on, how much we needed, how much we had. And he told me he did pretty good calculations, and he had figured out that we needed X number of dollars, and just to continue to go help veterans.
Wow.
And that probably touched me more than anything. That just out of the blue, he was at his grandparents' house, but he was thinking about the conversation he overheard about what was needed to help veterans. So one, I want to encourage you. You never know who's listening. But you also never know when you do that ask, that one person that's out there that says, you know what, I hadn't really thought about it, but I can write a check for $50,000, or I can write a check for X number. And talking about the need and talking about the desire to help others will encourage other people to reach out and help.
Now, Scott, let's clarify just a little bit and provide some really good transparency. You not only help veterans with their housing, but you help provide track chairs, you help provide service dogs, and there's probably a few other things in there as well. But, I mean, it's way more than just a little bit of housing support. So talk a little about that.
That's true. Our goal this year, just because I know what the mobility aspect of it is, I have a really cool all-terrain track wheelchair that allows me to go hunting and go, do some things that I wouldn't normally be able to do. And I thought, well, that would be a good thing this year for 7 Days for the Troops to focus on was providing those track chairs for veterans. They're right at $16,000 a piece, which that's a lot of money. And we wanted to be able to do that this year, and I'm pleased to say that 7 Days for the Troops has raised enough funds this year not only to do 3 track chairs for veterans. We've helped Purport Homes with a project. We've helped SHAFE do a project for a World War II veteran, and we've also helped send 24 veterans on a retreat, hunting retreat through the Warrior Bonfire program. And so that's kind of where Purport Homes has a focus of housing. My focus has been find the need and be able to help as many people as we can. And so I don't know, I didn't want to reinvent the wheel with 7 Days for the Troops. I wanted to find the gap and help fill that gap. And I think this year we've really been able to step up and do that in more ways than one.
yeah, that's pretty awesome. Man.
Wow. So we've got another break coming up, and I'm going to tell you, Scott, this is the worst part about the show is I hate taking these breaks, but we got to give all of our sponsors time to put out their messages as well, because I am just so enthralled with your message and what you do. Just always inspiring for me to know that people care, that veterans care, and that we're willing to sacrifice our own time and talents and treasures for other people, and that's what you've done from the very first time I met you, and I just thank you for that. And so stay tuned and hear more of Scott Burns' story, and a special word from Santa and Chaplain Borders coming up next.
You want to talk about Hey Scotty Pig?
Yeah, I don't think Scotty can talk back to us.
Scotty
Brad.
can't talk back to us. Hey Scotty, except for those watching on Facebook on video, we have a faithful listener in Anchorage, Alaska, who works all through the night, and he's up really early right now because they're 4 hours behind us. So it's like 4:40
He's
in the
tracking
morning.
Santa. He's keeping up with Santa.
He's tracking him right now, right? So, Scotty, I've got a grid square right now on Santa. He is geolocated right here in Statesville, North Carolina.
Is the actual Santa tracker up yet? It's not up. It don't go up until Christmas Eve.
I'm tracking him right now. I mean, he's right here. So I don't know what to tell you. Here he is.
He's at an undisclosed location.
He is,
on a secret mission
in the bunker. Right. So, but anyhow, Scotty has a really cool. He does. The Dysfunctional Veterans Radio program on Saturday nights with a host of other veterans. They have a show called Barracks Talk, and again, they do not abide by FCC regulations when they do their show, as the title Barracks Talk would. If you've ever spent time in a barracks, you know what I'm talking about, right? So, but anyhow, Scotty and a lot of his friends, they do, and they support so many veterans charities.
Yep.
They've got the DV Farm, which is up in, I think it's up in New England somewhere, maybe up in New Hampshire. There's a guy named Bo that lives in Mount Airy, and Bo's kind of the one of the driving forces behind DV Radio. And so, if you just look up DV Radio on your Google, you can tune in live on Saturday night and check those guys out. They're hilarious.
So Scotty says he wants to have a special meeting with Santa because he's on his wife's naughty list and he needs to figure out how to get off the naughty list. So when you get back in town, Santa, go check him out.
Santa was telling me that there is a if you want to he went to a school just to Santa went to get a master's degree in being Santa.
Is that as you practice and take your exam by eating cookies or drinking milk? Did Mrs. Claus have to go to a school to learn how to make the cookies?
No, Santa just eats them.
But who makes them?
Well, Miss Tammy makes them.
Oh, Miss
Tammy makes
oh,
makes
my
the
gosh.
best molasses cookies in the world. And
molasses
she's gonna leave them out
Okay.
in the world.
Well, Miss Tammy, I'm gonna be at the house on Thursday, and
10 seconds. 10 seconds.
The gauntlet
could use
has
some
been thrown down.
recovery cookies.
5 seconds.
Well, welcome back to Putting the Pieces Back Together, presented by Purple Heart Homes. Hey, you can find out more about what we do by going to our website at phhusa.org. We are joined today by Scott Burns, Marine Corps veteran and founder of 7 Days for the Troops. And Santa Claus is in studio. We have his second lead elf, Devlin McGregor, here, and Mrs. Giggles has joined us
now,
today.
wait a minute. We got one text wondering if it was the Grinch that married Santa.
No, it was not the
it
Grinch.
wasn't the
Well,
Grinch?
I will tell you this: it was
If
the
it
Grinch.
wasn't an elf, who was it?
It was the Grinch post-transition after his heart enlarged 3 times the size.
Oh,
So
that was a good one.
that was
a
good.
really good one.
Well, I'm a professional. We'll try this at home.
We all got to work together.
We all got to work together. All right, so Scott, for those who don't know about 7 Days for the Troops, it is a massive logistical undertaking. And one of the things, so for everybody listening, Scott comes to your town and builds this 16 or 20-foot tower. He is then hoisted up into the top by a fire truck or some other means, and then he lives up there for 7 days, and neither one of his prosthetic feet will touch the ground. Yes, he's showing pictures of it up on the Zoom. Neither one of his prosthetic feet will touch the ground at any time during those 7 days, to include when nature calls. So, how do you solve that problem? Well, we hoist a porta-john up in there with him, right? And so I got the privilege when he came and did 7 Days for the Troops with a bunch of our staff from Purple Heart Homes of hoisting the porta-john from the ground up into the tower.
You're saying the word hoisting, so it's not lifting. You're not standing under it while you lift it. You lift it from the top. We lift it.
So
somebody's under it?
There's grown men and women, and we get around it, and we pick it up, and we put it up into the tower.
I barely want to touch the doorknob.
Well, this is the beauty of it. It's better to be on the front end of that at the beginning of 7 Days for the Troops than at the end.
It's a little more heavy when it comes off. Is
yes,
that what
it
you're
is.
saying?
And I got to do that part too. And so we're sliding, we're tearing the tower down, and Scott's down on the ground. It was hot, and then somebody said, we got to get the porta-john down. And I was like, how are we going to do that? And we moved, and it was sloshing. And I was like, don't tip it over. Don't tip it over. And by the grace of God himself, we were able to get that down without any of the blue and other things coming out of it. It was incredible. So, but that's quite a challenge, staying up there for 7 days. You've been up there tell us one of your funniest stories from being up on the tower there, Scott Burns.
I don't necessarily know if it's as funny as it is now, but it wasn't at the moment. I was doing the event in Tampa, and it was supposed to, Tampa's supposed to be nice weather. For whatever reason, the first night I got there, it was the coldest night it had been in Tampa, Florida in years on that time of the year. And then a storm came through. Water filled the top of the tent that, is above my tent, because I figured I have a tent above the tent, keeps me safe just in case. Well, the water came in so fast that it not only collapsed the big tent, it collapsed into my tent where I was staying.
Awesome.
And so at 2 o'clock in the morning, I'm having to call. I just fortunately had family that lived, not too far from the Tampa area. And I was like, hey, hate to do this to y'all, but I have nothing. It's pouring down rain. I'm on top of this tower. I'm soaking wet, and they came and helped and got me a new tent. But
because you did not come down, you did not come off the tower.
Yeah,
I stayed up there.
Yeah,
and so that was probably the now funny part, but was not that funny when it happened.
I like it when he gets DoorDash to bring him food, right? And the DoorDash people come and they're kind of going, because normally you DoorDash, right? You're a DoorDash driver, and you show up somebody's house and you knock on the door, ring the doorbell, and the people, you go to the door, right? Thank you, Tammy. That was good, right? But you go to Scott when it's 7 Days for the Troops, and the DoorDash person is kind of looking up in there. He's like, how do I do this? Well, Scott has a bucket. Like a bucket on a rope, and he lowers the bucket down. The DoorDash food goes into the bucket, and then he hoists it back up and has his dinner. It's pretty awesome. So, yeah, it's a good time.
I just want to throw this out there. If you think you're a hardcore Army and you are listening, then you ought to try camping out in Tampa on a tower in a microburst and a storm coming off the Gulf. And you continue to stay up through it, because I watched that. Scott does live videos throughout the 7 days that he's there, and the amount of rain and seeing his tents completely collapse, everything he had soaking wet, and the fortitude for him to continue and stay up there. I thought for sure, knowing Scott for years, I thought, okay, this is the one. Scott's coming off the tower. This is the reign of Scott staying on the tower through it all is over. He persevered and he stayed up there the entire time.
Yes.
And so I challenge you, figure out what you can do to raise money so that you can be like Scott, because he is just making a huge impact for veterans all across the country. And let's see what kind of fortitude you have to bear the weather in support of your fellow veterans.
I know. I'll ride my bicycle 200 miles in one day. Oh, wait, I've already done that. So.
You have done that.
We should do that again this year. Maybe we'll do the Tiny Home 200 again this year.
I think you did like over 10,000 feet of elevation
We
on
did,
your bicycle, too.
Yeah, at one point.
Both times I said you're nuts.
Completely stupid, but not utterly pointless.
That's right.
Yeah,
that's right.
Exactly right. So, Scott, go ahead, bro.
I tried to use your completely stupid but not utterly pointless when I was doing a radio interview on top of the tower and get ready to talk about that in Statesville, and I knew it was coming up, and I completely butchered it because I said something about utterly pointless but completely stupid.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Utterly pointless and stupid.
Oh,
Right.
gosh.
Yeah.
Well, it comes
But
from.
that's, we said that earlier. Is you find what you're good at. I'm good at talking to people. I'm good at doing crazy stuff, and so why not utilize that to help others? And we're talking about veterans right here, but I mean, there's things we can do. I mean, there are people that are homeless right now that need jackets, and find a way to creatively collect jackets to give to people. So you don't have to be a genius to make this happen and help others.
That's true. That is true.
You don't have to be a genius to be on the radio either.
No, well, thank the Lord for that, right?
Oh yeah, that goes double for me. Thank goodness.
Yeah, thank goodness. Yeah, or we'd all be in trouble.
It's a good thing we've got Isaiah. Air Force guys are always smarter.
That is.
They help keep us on track.
Yeah, there you go. All right, and we got the bell ringing. Awesome.
And John, I need to take a point of privilege here. When I was in the midst of that couple of days of being just not.
Well, we got some technical difficulty here. Scott is breaking in and out.
It's the Russian hackers are on the attack again.
Yeah, the hackers are on the attack. So, hey, so I just want to let everybody know while we're kind of working out these details here with the technology, that Scott has a nonprofit called 7 Days for the Troops, and they have agreed to match funds up to $2,500 throughout the Christmas season for a project that we've got going on down at the coast. And so if you're interested in donating to that, you can go to our website at phhusa.org, and you can match those funds. And if you would, in the comment box, just say, hey, matching funds for 7 Days for the Troops. So that we can keep track of that, and we can help these 3 veterans that are living in this house down at the coast that really need it. And Devin, when is that project going to kick off, or is it already kicked off?
We're still in the phase of getting all the information for all the materials and things that we're going to need for this project. And I've been texting with Durant, who is our website guy, while we've been talking, and he's going to get a campaign button up there. So you should be able to go right to the top and just click that bad boy, and you can match Scott's donation right there.
All right. So yeah, so that'll be on our website. You'll be able to see the matching gift, 7 Days for the Troops, and this particular project, and you can donate straight to that, and so that you'll know that your dollars are not only maximized by 2, but maximized by 3, because you're helping 3 veterans with one gift.
3 veterans, 1 gift. Man, what could be better for a Christmas gift? Merry Christmas.
Do you know where these veterans, what their branches of service are?
One of them was in the Coast Guard. I think the other 2 were in the Army.
Okay.
So, yeah,
gosh, man. Well, somebody's got to take care of
place.
that Coast Guard guy.
Yeah, well.
Right. Yeah.
I tell you what, I'm still looking for the Space Force guys, but I think they've all been abducted by aliens.
You know that I saw the standard issue tinfoil hats that they've got with their new.
Well, that's not for the Space Force. That's for the Army guys that don't believe in Space Force. That's the new Garrison hat.
Tinfoil.
I think we've got Scott Burns back. Scott, can you hear us? You back with us?
I can hear you.
All
Yes,
right.
I can hear you.
Fantastic.
So, what I wanted to say a while ago is when I was going through the midst of the craziness the last month and a half and just not aware of how to navigate all this, I sent John a text and I said, hey, I just need to talk. You know, I needed to talk to somebody that, you know, wasn't going to give me the feel-good answers. I wanted him to be able to just be blunt and honest with me and tell me what I needed to know to navigate this. And John was there where he's helped veterans with ramps. I think you guys have done your 1,000th project recently. But the mental game that you guys have been able to help people with even the Putting the Pieces Back Together radio show has allowed doors to be open for people to talk when they didn't know what to do. And sometimes you don't know what to do, you don't know what to say, and you don't even know the questions to ask. And when I reached out to John, he was able to answer those questions that I didn't even know I needed. But I want to say thank you, John, for that, because that probably meant more to me. The wheelchair ramp's great because I can get in and out of my house every day, but just put me back in a mental direction that I need to go to continue to do what we're doing. Because that was one of my big fears, was I still going to be able to do 7 days? Was I still going to be able to raise funds? Was I still going to be able to help veterans? And John told me to stop a minute and just focus on myself and my family, and that really got me where I needed to be.
That's awesome.
Well,
man.
brother, number one, you're welcome. I love you, and very proud to call you friend and brother. But let me just say, for all of our veterans out there, it's about being there for one another. If you're not a veteran, it's still about being there for your neighbor and people that you care about, and especially during this time of year as we're in the holiday season. You never know what somebody's going through. But everybody is fixing to go through something. They're in the middle of something, or they're just coming out of something. And so take an opportunity just to reach out to those that you care about and just let them know that you're there for them, just to listen and be honest with them. No pretension.
For sure.
And so now I believe we've got a word from Chaplain Borders as we begin to wrap up the show.
Yeah, so it is Christmas, and it is the time, and I think your words about being present with people, manifest presence, is what Christmas celebrates, is the incarnation. As Christians, there's a lot of people that, we have different faith groups that are listening, but as Christians, this is what we believe, is that God manifested himself in the person of Jesus, and came as a baby, right, on Christmas. And so I read this morning, and I just thought it would be a great way to tie up our Christmas show here and just be thankful for this time of year. And it comes from the devotion that I read from a poet named Gerard Manley Hopkins. He's a British guy. He says, this is our creed. We believe in the blasphemous glory of Emmanuel, infinity dwindled to infancy. We believe in omnipotence surrendering to incontinence, the name above every other name rumored to be illegitimate. We believe that God's eternal word once squealed like a baby, and eventually when he learned to speak, it was with a regional accent. The creator of the cosmos made tables, and presumably he made them badly at first. The Holy One of Israel got dirt in the creases of his hands. And so as we think about Christmas, we think about the organic nature of Christmas, is that God became one of us, and that's the miracle of it.
Well, I'll tell you, it's a great way to close out the show today, and just thank you for sharing that with us, Chap. And
Yep.
We oftentimes get wrapped up into our own wants and our own needs, and certainly we have to consider those of others. There's so many veterans out there, particularly that are, whether they're homeless, whether they're lonely, or whether they just need somebody to come alongside them and give them a hand up. They're not looking for a handout, but just consider how you might make a difference in somebody's life this Christmas season.
For sure.
And whether it's Purple Heart Homes, 7 Days for the Troops, or any of the other thousands of great charities that are doing work out there, consider how you may give a gift to somebody that just simply can't help themselves. They're in a position where they need somebody to come alongside them. Want to again thank Scott for joining us today. Thanks for sharing your your story, Scott, and for all the hard work you do. Thanks for the special visit here from Santa. And
Thank you, Santa.
If you get the opportunity and you're in the Iredell County area, be sure to check him out at the Walmart, where he'll be posted supporting the Salvation Army this afternoon. And Devil Dog, thanks for all your work, and Brad, thanks for helping make the show funny and keeping us on track.
That's right. Hey, so for everybody that doesn't know, John is going to be going to see a doctor later on this week to have some repair work done and get some new parts, and he's going to be out for a couple of weeks. And
but I'll be listening to make sure y'all stay on track.
Well, we won't do that, I promise. We won't be on track, promise. But hey, everybody, have a Merry Christmas. Thank you for listening to Putting the Pieces Back Together. Santa, give us a ho, ho, ho to get us out.
Ho, 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 ho! Merry Christmas.
All right, Merry Christmas all.
You've been listening to Putting the Pieces Back Together with John Galena and Brad Borders. Join us again next Tuesday at 8 a.m. and Saturday at 5 p.m. for Putting the Pieces Back Together on News Talk WSIC.
All right. Can you still hear us? Scott, you with us? All right, great. We're going to take a quick picture with you on the Zoom camera.